Your boys are back. Dominik's love triangle. Rhea Ripley challenges Liv Morgan, and MJF wins a title. Let's go.
Wait! I can't believe it! Yes! A Rock is going to WrestleMania! Randy in position for another curb stop. Oh, my unbelievable counter! Oh, my God! Unbelievable!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting edition of In This Very Ring, live right here on A2D Radio. We are live on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X. I am the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. My name is Ritz. Shut up. And joining me as he does each and every, most Friday nights, it's the OGP of A2D, Mr. Pete Evans. What's going on, Pete?
Hey, man, another day, another dollar, living a dream. All blessings to be Most High. G-O-D-D. He is that boy. He is fly. You may call him something else because I know it's a different religion, but it's all in the same. It's all in the same.
All right. I like it. All right. We are brought to you by our friends at Baggio's Bread. Baggio's Bread is located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Home of the best stuff. Bread, tomato pies, sandwiches, cutlets, meatballs, and more. Mention A2D Radio for 10% off your in-store purchase. That's Baggio's in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Man, it's been a while. We weren't on last week because of Hurricane Burl rolled through. Burl.
What kind of name is Burl, by the way?
I know actually a Jewish woman named Burl. It's the only Burl I've ever met in my entire life.
Until the hurricane.
Until the hurricane came. But the hurricane ripped through southeast Texas. And really the biggest problem was electricity.
Right.
And so that's why we didn't do the show last week. While we had power, we were having people in and out of the house. Networks were all messed up and screwed around. So Butters and I opted not to do the show last week, which meant Pete was not going to go on solo. So there you go. But we are back. Butters was going to be on with us tonight, but he actually has a Lorcana tournament in Dallas. And they had
who tournament?
Lorcana. It is a trading card game. It's a Disney trading card game, believe it or not. Kind of like a Pokemon, kind of like a Yu-Gi-Oh! And they had an opportunity to go up early instead of having to leave it early in the morning. They have some friends that have extra rooms in their hotel, so They headed up there, and that's what they're doing tonight. So that's where he is. We wish him luck in his tournament. That is going on tomorrow, and we'll let you know next week what happens to him. But tonight, we have work to do. We have a show to talk about. We're going to talk about Dominik Mysterio's love triangle. Obviously, last week, Rhea Ripley made her return to WWE in the main event following Dominik and Liv Morgan winning that tag team match. And Rhea may or may not have found Dom in some compromising positions. That led to this week where she kicked off the show and Dominik came out to nuclear heat, which he already had, but it felt more because, again, Mami's back, everything like that. And he was trying to convince Rhea, hey, this thing with me and Liv, it's not a thing, right? I'm yours, you're mine kind of deal. And that led to Rhea challenging Liv for the title because they jumped on the Titantron and said, well, Rhea, remember, I'm trying to take everything from you, and that means Dom. Jax actually pointed it out to me. They were in 6 segments Monday night.
Yeah. I mean, what else you going to talk about on Monday Night Raw?
Well, other than the Wyatt 6 going on right now, and then you have the Drew McIntyre storyline. And then Damian Priest, his storyline with Gunther that they're building, which is they're doing a great job there as well. It is one of the biggest storylines in professional wrestling right now, and it has been. The whole Dominik, Rhea, Judgment Day, they were on top for a while. They are the top team of the
Somebody's on top.
Definitely somebody's on top. So it leads us to our poll question, though. Dominik Mysterio will turn on Rhea Ripley at SummerSlam. That is the question, kind of circling the drain right now. Will Dominik turn on Rhea and cost her the title? Has Liv gotten to Dominik and shown him the attention that he craves that Rhea maybe never really did. Rhea used him as a pawn. Rhea used him as an extension to get things done and get beaten up. And, you know, where Liv he's had success with Liv. They may not have had with
more success than he's ever had with Rhea. So
correct.
Yeah.
So I ask you, will he turn on Rhea?
Yes. And one of the key things is one of the segments, one of the six, the Judgment Day 6, the JD6, when he said, like, I'm trying to tell Jay, like, you're mine, you belong to me. And everybody turned around. Then at the end of the night, the rose, she takes it, gives it to him, and says, I don't belong to you. You're mine. That's like that blink twice if you need help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where I think something's going to happen this upcoming Monday that's just going to exacerbate and lead to that story. And ultimately, we are seeing the splintering, the end of the Judgment Day as we know it in this instance.
In this iteration of them.
In this instance. But yeah, so I definitely agree to the poll. I can definitely see that happening, and I think everything that I said was going to happen, and others have said how this was going to play out is playing out. Even though you know it's coming, it's still going to be the same. Like, you still enjoy it.
Exactly, you do still enjoy it. And when I think about Monday night specifically, and I think about the segments that they did, and you bring up a really good point. I'm not yours, you're mine. That goes back to what I was talking about just a few moments ago. Liv shows Dom that attention. It's a two-way street with Liv and Dom. Whereas with Rhea, it's what can you do for me? Right? What value do you bring to me and what I'm trying to accomplish here? And I could very much see. Part of me wants to agree to the poll question. Part of me wants to say, yeah, Dominik's going to turn on Rhea Ripley at SummerSlam. It's going to be a big coup, and that's kind of what I've set up all show. But there's a small part of me, and Daly even hits the nail on the head here, and he kind of hits it twice. Finn turns, Liv joins, and Priest and Rhea bounce. And I had that conversation. I think you and I might have had that conversation earlier in the week in this very ring chat. As well, it's kind of like what they're doing with the Bloodline, where you have OG, the talks that the OG Bloodline's coming back.
Oh, you already know what's happening there. Because didn't Cody say it tonight that the main event of SummerSlam is him and Solo? I think he said it tonight.
I think so.
Yeah, so you kind of know. I'll let you finish, and I have a rebuttal. Not a rebuttal, but I have some insight. Go ahead, continue.
And I like the idea of taking the original Judgment Day members in Damian and Rhea and breaking them off and letting them go their separate ways, letting Finn reclaim the Judgment Day because he was supposed to be the leader of the Judgment Day.
Right.
And have, Liv, have Dom, have JD, right? Have those guys around to still further whatever they're going to do and let Rhea and Damian be the success stories that they are.
Yeah.
Right?
Wasn't last year's Money in the Bank, wasn't Finn and Priest in it? If I'm not mistaken.
Maybe. I'd have to go back and look.
But that's where, like, to harken back to what I'm pulling deep. To harken
big words tonight.
To what you said about when Finn originally joined the Judgment Day and they transitioned and they kicked Edge out, you thought at that point, obviously Rhea being Rhea, but out of Finn and Priest, like Finn was the inaugural Universal Champion, like you would think it would be Finn's thing, and everybody knows he created the Bullet Club, which is still around to this day. He was the first leader of the Bullet Club, right?
He was one of the founding members, yeah.
Yeah, so from that perspective, you would think that. Here is the thing, though, and I mentioned this to you Monday night on Raw. I noticed it last week. Priest's merchandise is no longer glittered with the black and purple.
Correct.
It's Puerto Rican flag base.
Mm-hmm.
They're already giving you these subtle hints that he's trying to step out of his own. Not even take away from separate from him saying, "Hey, I don't want you guys down at ringside." This, that, and the third. None of that, right? It's been, "Hey, this is me. I stand alone. Yes, you guys helped me get to this point, but I need to become my own man. I need to put my stamp on this, right?" So I do think that happens eventually, but I also think Dom, the full turn may not happen at SummerSlam. I'm not changing my answer. I'm still going to say I agree to the poll, but 2 months time, what PLE do they have? And they have Cody Rhodes in the car with Metro Boomin, Drake's ex-producer in Atlanta, State Farm Arena. The title of that PLE is called Bad Blood. You have almost 8 weeks to build to that. What we've seen so far, because SummerSlam is next weekend, 2 weeks away, right? 2 weeks away from tomorrow. So I don't know how we can. Finn and them can't. They're in it right now with the dissension from, like, not dissension, but with that divide between Rhea and Dom. But really, it's not prevalent. It's not at the forefront like it will be after I think Priest loses the title at SummerSlam, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but I get it. That's when I really start to think that you get that divide, because really that's where I think Priest almost, in a way, the rest of the crew is going to say, "Hey, like, why is this funny to you? Why did you call Rhea? How did you know Rhea was coming back?" Because Finn, JD, Carlito, if he's in, if he's out, I don't know. And Dom sure as hell didn't know that Rhea was returning last Monday. The only person that knew was Priest, and because he said, "There's a surprise for you. Are you going to tell the guys?" He said, "Nah, I'm gonna let it play out." He's laughing at Dom in his face about Dom's situation. You see what I'm saying? So we're sitting here thinking that it's Finn, and ultimately it could be because Finn can choose that side. But I think Dom is the one who loses his shit and says, screw you, screw Rhea, everybody.
But how much of it, because if you think about it, right, like, there's that moment where Liv was in the locker room with just Finn. People are saying that Finn took Liv's hotel key card. Yes. What's to say it wasn't like a big coup on Finn's part, where he kind of enlisted Liv Morgan's help, right, to get Dom out of the Judgment Day.
I can see that too. Now,
to get Rhea out, to get all the, because realistically, if you want to play the card, they're the three bigger stars than Finn. But to your point, look at Finn's accolades, right? Yep. Look at one of the founding members of the Bullet Club, inaugural Universal Champion, NXT champion, IWGP champion.
First two-time NXT champion.
Yeah, first two-time champion. You look at all his accolades, yet who are the bigger stars? People that have been in the business so much less time than he has.
Right.
So he can take an impressionable young person, manipulate her to manipulate Dom, because if you manipulate Dom, you're going to tick off Rhea. Rhea and Damian are tight.
Mm-hmm.
So Rhea's going to tell Damian, "Hey, I'm coming back." And she's not going to tell the others because she wants to catch them all in their bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? And then that goes to getting the three of them to just essentially go their separate ways.
Here's the thing. Just like Roman, where we all got this feeling what's going to happen at SummerSlam in Cleveland, in the land, as they call it, in that main event. We all going to hear that head of the table drop.
Yes.
And the crowd's going to go wild. This is a way to where Dom himself, after this, can become one of the biggest baby faces in the company. And the reason I say that is because not been talked about a lot, but with WWE and how they're going out of their way to make sure they hit on certain things on social, right? To put it up on a .com, to put it up on YouTube, to put up in a short everywhere, every platform they have. You go back to what Liv originally said. I want to take everything away from you. Not that I want what you have. I just don't want you to have it.
Yep.
When Rhea came back and Liv skated through that crowd and she went through that curtain, she looked at the camera and she smiled. Like, this is like, it was that smile, like everything is going according to my plan. Right? So what's the worst thing you can do to Rhea? You already then quasi took her man, her real man hurt, by the way. Get well, buddy. Get well soon. But you take him, right?
Yeah.
And then from that standpoint, you don't even want him. You just don't want her to have him.
You take her title.
Right. You take her title. I would not book Rhea to win at SummerSlam. Now, Liv's ring work needs some work, pun intended.
Yeah.
But that just comes with reps. But as far as everybody expects Rhea to win at SummerSlam, if you just look at the size of the two compared to one another, all right, Rhea all day. But Rhea was already starting to get that natural baby face turn. When I went to what do they call it? For WrestleMania Fest, whatever you want to call it for WrestleMania when I was there.
Yeah.
They had the Tron where you can act out your own entrance. Outside of Cody, it was Rhea. All the girls, guys, everybody doing Rhea's entrance. She already had it, right?
Yep.
So now the chase is there, especially if she's a face now. We all know this. The chase for a face as the title holder is always easier to write storylines for than when the face has the title. Perfect example, Bayley. I don't know what it is. Thank God for leather. I'm gonna say that tonight. Jesus. Oh my God. Somebody called them the tribal cheeks.
I'm done.
Shout out to the boy CT Martin Barrow and I forget the other dude's name, but Before the Bell podcast. Shout out to them, man. But yeah, down for real, man. But no, like that's what can happen. This whole judgment, and that's why I say you have time to build the bad blood when you can sit there and you can really have that swerve where Finn can cost Priest maybe the rematch at Berlin at the Bash or a rematch at Raw for the title. You know what I mean? Maybe that's what can happen where we get that swerve, right? Where we get that diversion to where Dom is sitting there. All of a sudden, Finn takes out Priest, Liv and Rhea, whatever. They all in the ring together. And then Dom is just sitting there like, what's going on? And maybe Finn turns on Dom. He don't have no allegiance to Dom. And then, or Liv can just act like she gonna kiss Dom, move him out the way and kiss Finn.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
and you have JD take out Dom.
Right. Had JD take out Dom, because you notice those three dudes are always together. On TV, when JD and Finn is doing and have a match, it's Carlito out there. If Carlito had a match, it's JD and Finn out there.
The Carlito thing's weird to me.
But it's kind of the same thing with JD. It's just put him in. But what variation are you going to have for him? My biggest thing is at the end of the day, Dom is going to be left holding nothing. Mm-hmm. So then now you got to build this dude all the way back up. He's lost it all. His heart got toyed with Liv. That's gonna give her more heat. Nobody's gonna be mad at Rhea for dipping him because of what he did.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And then you can have all that. You can have a moment WrestleMania 6 all over again. You can have not WrestleMania 6, WrestleMania 7. You can have Elizabeth Macho Man all over again. The whole year they beefing. He got Sensational Sherry out there with him. You know what I mean? That could be somebody out there with Dom. It could be Liv. They could do that, and then Liv kind of keep treating like shit. who come to save Dom one day? It's going to be Rhea. You see what I'm saying? But ultimately, here's the other thing too for me is I want them to get away from this. I don't like it because it's too, in this day and age of social media, we all know like Rhea is wearing her ring. Dom wears his ring. We all know Liv was with Bo Dallas, and now she not with him no more. She the only true single person involved in this whole polygamy big love triangle. Like, what do we got going on here? Like, get me away from that aspect of it because we know it's not real. I know you want wrestling and sports entertainment to suspend the disbelief, but get back to some believability at some point.
Well, but I'm okay with, because it's no, and I've always said this. I've always said this, right? No matter what show you, that is insane how they accepted Carlito and not R-Truth. Take any show you watch, whether it's NCIS, Blue Bloods, Grey's Anatomy, whatever it is. You know those people aren't really married to those people on that show.
Right.
Right? So I'm okay if for 3 hours on a Monday night.
6 segments, though? 6?
But again, it's no different than, like I said, a Blue Bloods. Right? Or pick Grey's Anatomy. It's a show that everybody at least knows about.
Right.
Right? When you look at Meredith and what was his name? Derek?
Oh, you talk about Patrick.
Yeah, whatever the hell his name is.
Is his name? Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Right? Or even you look at like NCIS with Tony and Ziva. You know that those characters aren't really married in real life.
Yeah, but
and they dominate the show. How is it different?
Because I think because there are some. I'm not saying for everybody. I could be the minority here. I don't know if other people feel like that. It's just different for me when, not so much for Dom's perspective. It's just that now they're so much more accessible. Like you talking about McDreamy, because I just know the names because my wife watches the show.
Sure.
She's watched it since the beginning. He ain't got his wife and all that shit spread on Instagram like that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's when you see it and you can it's easily attainable. Like we saw when Dom got married, like Rhea was there. Which is cool. That's real life, but it's different when you put it in front of my face and and I can easily disprove this. Like this ain't real.
But I can do the same with insert show here.
What other profession that uses storytelling in the fashion that we see it with relationships have that ease of accessibility on a social platform? AEW, there's many wrestlers in AEW that's married or that's together. You don't never see on their social.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's still entertaining TV, but they have it out to get away from it.
But kayfabe is dead.
Oh yeah,
it's dead and buried. It's dead and buried, and that's a problem that you see sometimes with AEW is they try to hold on to kayfabe, and it doesn't work all the time, and that's why some of their stuff falls really flat.
That's true.
Right? And so when you go into a Monday Night Raw or a Friday Night SmackDown and you go, okay, I understand for the next 3 hours, I need to everything I know about social media and this, that, and the other thing, none of that matters right now. Because right now, Rhea's not married to Buddy Murphy on TV.
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't there a Buddy chant at Raw?
There might have been.
And I don't think people can chant whatever Dom's wife's name is because I don't think nobody knows who she is. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Buddy got Rhea chants. This is true. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. What I'm saying to you is there is a way to get out from underneath of that. because I do ultimately think that Buddy Murphy is coming back to the WWE. He was a Trips guy.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So when that happens,
then you have the ability to address that. And I think it's going to be on how they bring it back, right? Because we all know Jimmy and Naomi are together, right? And they hint at it every once in a while. Just like they hinted at Jon Moxley and Renee Young every once in a while, right? Though Ricochet and Samantha.
But that's real. And Ricochet's a lucky man.
Agreed. But my point being, though, right? It does get hinted at. Don't get me wrong, because some of the best characters are that person turned up to 11.
Yes.
Right. Some of the best storylines are derived from real life and added extra elements into it to make it a little bit more TV entertaining. I mean, hell, that's why cop shows do so well.
Yeah.
Right. That's why a show like Law and Order SVU has been on for 20 blessed years.
Yeah. It's just, I like where the story is going, the options that they have. It's really like you're watching a telenovela. Honestly, it's like you're watching a soap opera.
I've been saying for years, wrestling is a male soap opera.
This is different because of the fact of, I think females are into it too. You know what I mean?
Shut up. I'm agreeing with the man.
I mean,
shut up.
Hey, them cheekbones high, yo.
Who cares?
I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, he's a lucky dude. His ascension right now is because of the broken ribs, but it definitely stopped his momentum.
And by the way, real big shout out. We appreciate you jumping in here. We're here every Friday night. We appreciate the comments. We are a live interactive show. We will bounce off of your comments. We may read them out loud. We may not. We may just reference them and use them to prove a point. So we appreciate you jumping in here. And and what's your point? And no, I didn't. I said Blue Bloods, Grey's Anatomy, and NCIS before I said Law and Order. Calm down.
But no, for me, I love the way it's playing out. I think they can get more out of it. I kind of wish that Gunther wasn't the king of the ring, because ultimately, for me, in the cohesional storytelling, I would love for it to be Finn that we the one to take the title off of Priest. And just because
you can't book and I think you and I running into the same problem.
Right.
When we look ahead to 2 weeks from tomorrow night and we look at SummerSlam, does Gunther really win here?
Listen, don't you do that, because 4 weeks ago I was gung-ho and saying he shouldn't. And now as we get closer to SummerSlam,
and like I said, I told you I would eat crow on that, but 4 weeks ago I was dead set it's the next smartest move for Gunther, because Damian was in a really weird lull, kind of like the lull we're seeing with Cody.
He's hot right now.
He's on SmackDown. Right.
He's definitely hot right now, especially after the way he beat Strowman. And they're telling a story of separation with him. Leading into Money in the Bank, it was very evident. Hey, guys, I don't need you to do this. I don't need you to be here. He was very vocal with it. Now they're not even coming out. That's, like I said, the merch he's wearing when he's on screen is completely different. And that's a storyteller. That's telling a story in and of itself without even saying any words.
Mm-hmm.
And now he got a clean victory over a former champion and looks strong in doing that. And then after the match, Gunther comes out. He gets one over on him. He looked really strong.
And I think when you take into account, you can't ignore the Judgment Day factor. Right? They are there. When you have Gunther, and we're going to talk about this a lot more in depth next week when we do our 2 weeks from now when we do our preview show.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have Imperium having Gunther's back. Right? So Gunther's walking into essentially a handicap match. Right? It has, because if they do get involved, then who's there? Ludwig? Ludwig's hurt. So you just have Gunther right now. So I can't see how you book this, have Gunther win or lose, but then you do have Bash at Berlin 3 weeks later. So
but I mean,
all before Bad Blood.
Yes, all before. So
what's
the SummerSlam?
It's SummerSlam.
Bad Blood's October.
Right. There's nothing in September because Bash is the 31st of August. They have nothing. I don't think they have anything in September. They have No Mercy for NXT, but I don't think they're going to do a main roster PLE.
Well, I mean, all in all, it's definitely some interesting storytelling. We can kind of, it's somewhat predictable, but it's the predictability that we would still enjoy seeing, no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what. Because now you feel like you're watching The Bachelor and who's going to get the rose. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's like, and you can easily tell somebody who's just coming into, okay, why are these two girls fighting over this one dude with the bad mullet, right?
And the moronic mustache.
And the cowhide boots, whatever, right?
It's all Eddie Guerrero Jr.
I mean, I wish he could fill out like Eddie Guerrero did. It's like I don't understand how this dude, like, he ain't put on no muscle mass. You know what I mean?
All right, let's kind of transition a little bit away from WWE. We don't normally talk AEW in great detail, but I would be remiss if I didn't bring up this past Wednesday night on Dynamite, MJF, Will Ospreay, they go the distance in this match for the International Championship. With about 2 seconds to spare, MJF gets the win and is the new champion. People are calling it the match of, like, the greatest match in Dynamite history. Some are even going on to say it's a contender for greatest match of all time. A big question is, have you seen the match, Pete?
I watched it live.
Did I lose audio again?
I watched it live.
Sorry, this thing is not charging.
No, I definitely watched it live, and I think it was the greatest match. It was the greatest wrestling match in AEW's history. I will say that. Greatest match of all time, debatable. As far as what this proved to me with AEW is they can take something from out of nowhere and give it a build if Tony gets your shit together. Because this was 2 or 3 weeks. You gave it to us, and now guess what? In the way that it happened, because I thought the match was leading to a draw. They did with it was Danielson and
I think it was MJF. Or Danielson
one, right?
Or it was Danielson and Cole. No,
one
Cole
of them they went to a 60-minute draw.
Yeah.
So I thought that's where this was heading. And that's the thing, that 2 seconds, if it even been 1 second, I was like, this is going to be a non-finish and we're going to get this at All in Wembley, because once you didn't have Ospreay win the Owen Hart tournament, you kind of knew, like, all right, where are we going with Ospreay and Wembley?
Yeah.
And now we have MJF heel turn, which I think is the best MJF, because he can be free to say whatever he wants. Even further, doesn't have to do the bracing and the hug, the kangaroo kick, all this dumb shit.
I enjoyed that.
You enjoyed it, but would you like? This is from an entertainment perspective, this is what I want to see. Yeah, because the guy can go in a different fashion than what Ospreay does it, glitz, glamour, and flash, and MJF can do that, but it's more methodical, right? And he cheated to win. I wish the only thing I can say is I wish it wasn't for that title so fast that he just won, but that's Tony Khan. That's TK for you. You know what I mean? Like, Ospreay just won this title in May or June. He won it in May.
Well, but and I was having this conversation with Jax earlier this week, because we meet up once a week. We sit down and we talk about everything, and we brought up AEW championships. Mm-hmm. They're oversaturated with championships over there. And like it makes some of them not feel important. Like, yes, MJF has gold, but does it matter?
Does Okada's title matter?
No.
And we all know where that's going.
I don't even know what he has.
He has the Continental title.
Yeah, my point.
Okay.
Right? There are so many titles over there that, I mean, and they have so much. There's also another problem right now where they've got so many big names again, and they want to feature them, but how they're featuring them just doesn't make sense.
Like, honestly, one of the best gimmicks of the past year has been Timeless Tony Storm. Has been. But you're telling me Timeless Tony Storm versus Mariah May is the AEW Women's World Title match All In, right? But yeah, I got Mercedes Moné, aka Sasha Banks, and her promos with Britt, and Britt is on fucking fire right now, and that's for a TBS title.
And I'll die on this hill again. It was okay when the TBS title was really just on TBS. And while I thought it was really stupid that we named it after a network,
yep,
right? But now you have that TBS title showing up on Wednesday night. You have the TNT title sometimes over there on TBS, right? You need to rename those titles, I think. And you almost try to do that by throwing more titles in there for the men, more titles in there for the men, more titles in there for the men.
Yeah, like to me, at some point,
there's no legit. Yeah, Jade Cargill held the TBS title and ran with it. Britt Baker held the AEW Women's World title and ran with it.
Yep.
Right. Which title means more?
Yeah.
Right, because you have arguably two of the top women wrestlers in Mercedes Moné and Britt Baker fighting for your mid card, your mid card women's title at your biggest show.
Like look at the progression of the TBS title, right?
Mm-hmm.
TBS title's created. Jade Cargill wins. She beat Thunder Rosa in the final, who you know very well on a personal level. Not I don't know about very well, but you know of her. She knows of you. Then it goes
more butters than me.
Okay. Then it goes.
Jade beat Ruby
in the finals.
Yeah, Jade beat Thunder in the semifinals.
Okay. Then it goes to Chris Statlander, who was returning from an injury.
Yep, that was after 508 days.
Then you go from I feel like, and then from there you get Julia Hart, who I think is hurt or what have you. We haven't seen her after she dropped the title.
She held it for 155 days.
And now Willow took it from her.
And Willow held it for 35 days.
And then you got Mercedes now.
Yep.
So it feels like it went like this. It went steps. It went step here, step down, step up, then step up. Where we go now. That's why, honestly, they really should just name those titles. They should name the Jungle Boy title, Scapegoat, whatever. It still be Jungle Boy. Men's TV title. The title that Mercedes has, women's TV title, and leave it at that.
Yep.
Right.
And call it a day.
But even with that being said, imagine because Mariah May's from London, if Toni Storm had the women's TV title, you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that match is still going to go off. It's almost what TK does sometimes. As he puts himself in these corners where it's almost like right now, Vince would have did that in SummerSlam 92. SummerSlam 92, people forget, like the IC title was the main event. The main event, not even the league title for your promotion. And you can still tell a story where everybody's going to watch that.
And I had this, we had this argument on Wednesday. The AEW title.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't always have to close out the show.
No.
Right? But you also shouldn't have it at the beginning of the show every week.
Mm-hmm.
Or randomly at the second hour. Right? If you don't have a strong, compelling story, then anything involving your world champion should headline.
Yep.
It doesn't always have to be the title doesn't always have to be on the line for him to headline, right? But he is your champion, right? If you have a compelling story like at SummerSlam 92, then it's okay for him for that match to close out the show, right? And it's no different here. If Mariah May was, and we see it with WWE.
What's up, Wills?
We see it with WWE right now as they do these international PLEs.
Mm-hmm.
If Mariah May is the only London-born wrestler on the card that night, that match should close out the show.
Right.
Because if you have that match start the show and you have Tony go over, you lost the crowd.
Yep. We saw it with, even though it didn't close out the show, but we saw it with Piper Bailey at Clash at the Castle.
Yep.
We saw it last year at Backlash when it was Zelina Ripley. It was Zelina and Rhea.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? So it's weird, man. But I do like to speak to that point, and he's kind of doing that too with Swerve right now. Swerve, we all got it. He's Bryan Dennison. All these probably gonna drop the title. Why? I don't know. It is what it is, right? But as far as Blood and Guts next week, who's leading that team? It's your champ. Like they're getting heat. Go ahead.
But that can't, and that's the other thing. Like some of these things just come out of nowhere.
Yes.
Right? Like one, I didn't realize that because they don't promote a damn thing. I didn't realize the finals were like 2 weeks ago for the Owen Hart Cup on a random Wednesday night. You didn't even like give it a name.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. But then you're gonna do this Blood and Guts thing again on a random Wednesday night. And you're going to have your world champion in a match that never goes off well.
No, you're just hoping that everybody comes out of it in one piece.
Yeah. And you're putting all these factors in, and your world champion has a match in a few weeks at your big show, but Danielson's not even on the other side of that coin.
And this is where they pitch it like he has a direction, and what like we saw with WrestleMania backstage, whatever they did, it took them 3 months to make. They kind of pivoted from what they wanted to do. Tony hasn't done that. There should be no way that you had Hangman come back, lose in the semifinals, because you could Hangman versus Swerve now for the title. Listen, I love Daniel Bryan Danielson, whatever you want to call him. Right?
Yeah.
I love him. But that's a bigger story and bigger match in Wembley than having this dude trying to win the title for the last time. You see what I'm saying? Before he hang it up.
Right.
And we all know how that story is going to play out. And in the last 4 months that Swerve has been the champion, if you had to rank the people who have held the AEW championship since its inception, I think I've definitely put Swerve's right in front of Samoa Joe's. Definitely put Swerve. And then, I mean, the only two I probably don't put him in front of is probably the inaugural Jericho and Omega. And MJF obviously. But you figure because how many people so I would put Swerve's reign so far in front of Samoa Joe's, Hangman Page. I think he's had a better run since then. Moxley is fringish because remember when Moxley lost it to Omega, then he's been I think he's been a champion 3 times.
So Moxley beat Jericho.
Then
he dropped it to Omega. Omega drops it to Hangman. Hangman dropped it to Punk. Punk has to vacate the title.
Moxley won it.
Moxley's the interim champion. Then Moxley beats Punk to become the undisputed champion. 11 days later, he drops that to Punk. Punk then vacates the title again.
Then Moxley wins it back again.
And then Moxley gets it back 2 weeks later. He'll drop that to MJF. MJF drops to Joe. Joe drops to Swerve.
So I just don't know. What are we elevate? What star outside of MJF has maintained the same level of reputation since not having AEW? Jericho's different. Jericho's in class. He's in class. Mox, I will probably put Moxley in that too. But like you tell me the first time champions, like who hasn't gone back?
But other than MJF and Swerve, and I'll challenge the Swerve one too, right? MJF, all right, never been a champion anywhere else before, as far as I can tell. Jon Moxley has been a champion multiple times over. Omega, champion multiple times over. Hangman Adam Page, pretty sure been champion multiple times over in other professions.
I actually don't think it. I don't think so.
I'm looking at it right now. Right?
Singles champion?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. All right,
I don't think he ever had a title on NJPW.
No. He was a Carolina Wrestling Federation Mid-Atlantic World Heavyweight Champion.
Don't you hang on that thread. Don't you?
All right. So, but then there's another one for you. Right. So Adam Page, double check on MJF. I mean, no. Okay. So MJF, Adam Page, Jericho, been champion. Joe, been champion. Punk, been champion. Right? Swerve.
They had the North American title for a cup of coffee. That's it. I mean, he had other titles. I think he was GZW.
No, but I'm talking about standing at the mountaintop.
Yeah.
Right? Not even like a mid-card title. He was a CZW championship.
Yeah.
Champion. He was the Defy champion, the Evolve champion, right? The MLW champion. So he doesn't count. So really, Adam Page and MJF are the only two first-time champions in there. And Adam Page sucks. He's god-awful. Logan Paul hits a better buckshot than he does. And that's saying something. Right? And then he's been hurt. And he's been out. And he comes and he goes. And when he does show up, like, he's automatically a heel with the Elite. Nothing that you do with this guy makes sense.
Yeah, and then you don't. If you want that story to be told, so what's going to happen now? Like his, you saw how he took the loss to Danielson in the semifinals, right?
Yeah,
or finals, whatever it was, where he. So now, but you already know he got a riff with Swerve. So where does he lie? Come all in, right? So I don't know. Listen, all I know is we're getting Ospreay MJF Part 2 at All In, and I'm here for it. I don't think the second match is going to live up to that one at all.
No. And that's the other problem that I kind of have, right? You gave that to me on free TV.
They shot that, yeah.
Right, and I said this. Yeah, we had a very long conversation, and I used Wednesdays to kind of tee up Friday, right? The boss is here, by the way.
Oh, Hefe.
He agrees to the poll question. But AEW promotes nothing and then will blow their load immediately out the gate on a show. So, like, if they've
done that in the past, though, too. Like, they've opened up with big matches and then it kind of tapers off. I don't think anyone was expecting that.
But then, like, I'm turning it off.
Yeah.
I'm not sticking around. Like, if MJF and Will Ospreay open a show,
right,
and I got that match, nothing you do the rest of the night is going to beat that for me. I'm turning it off, and I'm going to go do something else.
The only thing I would say is right now what we've seen, the two most interesting things outside of the MJF Ospreay, what we saw is Britt and Mercedes. That's it. Those are the must watch now. And you can be evident if you want to go back and you want to watch where Tony made the wrong decision, go watch Mariah May's promo. I would not have had her come out this week at all. And especially not dressed up like Tony. It's too soon. Nobody's asking her why she did. People were asking why she did what she did. Let that shit marinate for 2 more weeks.
You didn't give that any time. You should have had Tony come out, have the bandage on her head, right, and run her mouth. You don't need Mariah to come out and validate any of it.
And dressed like Tony, not even dressed like herself, dressed up like Tony. Yeah. Oh yeah, and they haven't.
I love it when we're all on the same page.
No. And then I would take somehow, some way, you got to get the international title versus the continental title, and you merge them bitches together, and you call it the. He's trying everything in his damnness not to call it the intercontinental title, but that's what you need. You see what I'm saying? You need
but you want to call it an international title? Fine. I'm good with that. I don't need a continental title. Why, bitch?
Can somebody tell me what the difference is between continental and international in the first place?
I'm gonna look it up.
Like I don't. And then honestly, the international title is probably next to the world heavyweight title, the next best looking belt. Honestly, I don't know, man. So that to extreme says Mercedes at AEW was underwhelming for me. My interest around her is Britt Baker, who I've always been a huge fan of. But don't get me wrong, I love Sasha Banks. Not too big on Mercedes Moné. They don't play her up like they should. If I'm them, I would have her legit join the elite. You see what I'm saying? If you're saying you're the CEO, join the elite. One of the best things I've seen for her, how she was portrayed, was in NXT. I'll never forget it. Take Over Brooklyn, how she arrived to the ring in I think it was either a Cadillac or an all blacked out bulletproof Suburban, and had all the bodyguards letting her out, and that's how she was walking to the ring. You're a VIP. That should happen at every level. Every time we see you, you should just be like, shoo them away, divas all the time. But she got this passion to where she wants to do this, she wants to that. And sometimes you can have somebody cut a promo where they talk too much. And then they talk themselves and they just don't know when to stop. And I think they get so much. I can understand why talent wants to go there to AEW, because they get so much free reign. It doesn't always mean it's the best thing. Like I love Edge, right? I'm gonna still call him Edge, add a couple if you want. There's no way in the world WWE signing off in that spot. And he'd still be there. You see what I'm saying? Like he would still be like he gives nods to people and puts people in positions that just their bodies just can't handle it. Adam Cole's injury, like this was one of the biggest storylines last year. This time we're talking about who's the devil. Now you done took that devil, you just swept that some bitch under the rug, never to be heard of again. You see what I'm saying? Like we never got the only payoff for that was a low blow from MJF to Cole. That's the only blow off that we got. We are never going to get that, and that sucks. It truly sucks. So, but outside of the MJF Ospreay match, from a wrestling standpoint, what stories can they tell from this that's going to keep you involved and engaged up until All In?
No.
Can they do that?
None. So let me answer this. The definition of intercontinental. Okay? Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, not intercontinental, international.
Martian says Switchblade sucks. Adam Copeland not it. Kenny Omega is annoying to me. Tell us how you really feel, Martian.
I love it. International means between or involving different countries. Continental, forming or belonging to a continent. Being or concerning or limited to a continent, specifically the continents of North America or Europe. I'm going to read you off all the titles that AEW has right now. Mm-hmm. AEW World Championship, the AEW TNT Championship, the International Championship, the Continental Championship, the FTW Championship.
They're really recognizing FTW as an actual title?
Yes.
Okay.
The World Tag Team title, the Trios title, which are vacant, by the way.
Which is the dumbest shit in the world. You have a clique of 4. One gets hurt, so now they have to vacate the titles. It's still 3 of them.
The women's world title and then the TBS title. You have like 9 titles. That's not even counting your ROH titles that you have.
Who's Mark Briscoe proudly displays, and Kyle Fletcher is the TV champion every week.
Yup.
I don't know, man. I don't know. With that, and listen, I'm still going to watch All In. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Still going to watch the build. I love Swerve and what he is right now. I wish we could have got this at WWE, this level, but the level, the quality of the matches, the look, the fur coat, he looks like a champion. He's carrying himself like a champion. I almost kind of wish that he was Swerve Danielson at All In and join the Elite. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, it's weird for me. I don't want to see, like, you have to make it make sense to me for guys losing titles.
Yes.
And just giving it to Danielson just because and you're talking about somebody who can't stay healthy. We just literally sat here and talked about it. Oh man, I don't know. Miro's is divorced now, gone. Remember when he showed up, what he thought he was going to be, what we saw with Aleister Black. I don't forget what name he's going by in AEW now. I don't know why. Malachi Black. Andrade been there, left. You know what I mean? So it's like you got all these toys, but there's no cohesion, there's no consistency with it, right? We all know at some point the Acclaim's gonna get back the World Tag Team titles. You know what I mean? You took them off you took the titles off of them for whatever godforsaken reason. It's like you hot and cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold.
And not even like a build and then a fall. No, build, and then their legs get cut out from under them and they drop 15 stories.
Listen, and here's the thing, how you could tell Swerve is over. They were in freaking Little Rock, Arkansas. And ain't that many of us in Little Rock, Arkansas, if you could read between the lines. But damn it, if Prince Nana ain't come out there with that empty cup every time and he throwing that cup and hitting that dance, if them people in the crowd on half a side of the building wasn't doing that dance, come on, man. And then the learning tree, I don't get it. I just think
I don't get any of it. Like I don't, because like I have my one-on-ones with my friends. So AEW is something that and even NXT too, right? It's something that I catch on Twitter or I catch replays later. And I sit there and I'm watching them going, what is happening? Why are we here? How did we get here? Like, yes, I know I didn't miss much, right? But I feel like I missed years worth of content.
Yeah, it's just a show. But so let's transition because we're kind of doing a roller coaster. We hit the peak of the mountaintop when we talked about Rhea and Dom and MJF and Ospreay. Then kind of go down a little bit, talk about the rest of AEW. Let's go back up. Let's start turning back.
Well, we don't have much time left, so where do you want to go from here?
Say his name.
Oh my God, I went. All right, so when we get off the air, because we'll get copyrighted, I need to play something for you. I've set something up. It's fantastic.
Yes.
But I thought everything Tuesday night worked so well.
Worked beautifully.
When Vic Joseph deserves a medal. Because, first of all, I don't like how they're making Booker a heel without making him a heel and all this. It doesn't work for me. But all 6 guys are down. And he goes, well, I know somebody should pay real attention to it. But he's like, no. Joe Hendry. And the music hits and he goes, oh my God, it worked.
Yes. Yeah. And then even later on in the backstage segment, when Gallus is walking through, he's like, don't you say it. Don't you say it. And here he just comes in from the side, obviously stage. But to see him in that fashion, suited up, non-wrestling, non-physical contact appearance. And he said, like, I'm not going anywhere. NXT likes me.
Well, and what's great about it is because, and they lean into it with him. It's not like, all right, we're going to try to have you do your thing differently. No, WWE leans into it and they have the music play. And like, even so far as, Joe Hendry, say his name and he appears. And it goes into the clap. And then he just immediately, like, there's no pause for a reaction.
Nope.
Clap. All right, guys. So I heard that blah, 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 blah. like go straight into a promo, and you're like, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah, man. It's almost like, even though it is a lot of growing pains with NXT, if you try to watch the whole show, it is still something that is must watch because what they're doing now.
Yep. Like
you mean they
Thea
found
Hale.
Thea Hale.
If she
Cornerstone.
Cornerstone.
She should. Yes, I love Roxanne. I like this heel run, but this is somebody who you want to elevate. Javon Evans. I don't know where they found this kid at. This kid is ridiculous. He's Shelton Benjamin all over again.
He is the best kind of problem.
Yes, because and then his promos are so raw. He's not polished, but it's still believable. Like when he was talking to Ethan Page, it's like, man, shut your ass up. Like that type. Like you can't even tell this dude is working for a $1 billion company trying to do this, and he just sounded like he's talking to somebody in the street. That's what you love. I didn't like the fact they took it off of Trick, but Trick wasn't ready. But that's Sean's missteps, because that Trick Mello match at Stand and Deliver should have been for the title.
Well, and Trick was ready. The problem is they stripped NXT.
Yes.
Which they do all the time.
Yep.
And they didn't have anything for Trick. So they put Trick in this thing. Obviously, you knew it was building to Ethan Page, but at the beginning, it didn't fit.
Nope.
Like, all right, so you're putting him in this weird love triangle, like this relationship thing with the one.
I was gonna say, because I think the plan was for him and Noam Dar, but then Dar got hurt,
and that's fair. And if that happens, okay, right? Mm-hmm. But it didn't fit. Like you kept on it, and you're like, okay, you got to pivot. Oh, you're not pivoting.
Yeah.
Right. And NXT, that's the downside. When you strip the NXT roster to bring those people up to the main roster, you do have that lull of, all right, we got to rebuild people like Fallon Henley, like Brooke Jensen, like, Oba, Javon Evans.
Oba is he's what almost should have been.
Yes.
He's what and he'll be NXT champion but pretty soon, if they just don't call him, because kid's 26 and he looks like he's 45. Like I don't understand how somebody that young is walking around on this earth that large. Now, before we get out of here, Jensen, if they do it right,
could be amazing.
And who and the person I'm thinking of right now, lineage is already in NXT. But that's where I'm thinking. I'm going loose cannon with it. Yeah. That's just disheveled. You don't know what they're going to do, but they may be on to something there.
I want to answer a couple of these comments before we get out of here real quickly. Mm-hmm. But I do think the Brooke Jensen thing could go fantastically.
Yes.
HUD not bringing back Jeopardy. There's not been talks of it. That's a lot to put together for a weekly show. And with Frank no longer being a part of the company and different components not there, it's just not something we've talked about. Joe Hendry to win the NXT title makes this NXT partnership feel legit. I agree. I do think Joe could take it off of Ethan Page. I think that could be the next best route to go. Random thought, Eric Rowan on Monday night. That was tough, very tough, but I thought it was very well done. I want to break down a lot of the Wyatt 6 next week, because there are some things circulating right now that could tell this is so much longer-term storytelling than we even thought about. Yes, pivot. But for Pete Evans, I am Ritz. We'll see you all next week. Thank you so much for joining in on this show. Make sure you hit that like, hit that follow, hit that subscribe. For everybody in the comments, we appreciate you guys always being here. We will see you same bat time, same bat channel. But until then, tell somebody you love them. Peace, love, and joy. We are out of here.
Peace to the tribal cheeks.